Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. And in this class, I'm going to give a brief introduction of what you need in order to become a good hardware designer in electronics. So it's like a brief introduction of the course that you can take and the basic informations that you need when doing PCB design. And we are going to start immediately on the introduction to electronics. And in this topic of introduction to electronics, you will learn about basic electronic components. You will need to understand about capacitors. What are capacitors? What is the functions of the capacitors? And where do we apply capacitors in our um, in our design? And then we will come across diodes. You have to understand also the functions and the purposes of the diodes in a circuit. Resistors, we have fuses, varistors, inductors, ferrite beads, optic optocouplers, and thyristors. Also, you need to understand about current, defining and measurements and formulas and how to use them. You will need to understand things to do with voltages. You have to define a volt to measure it, the formulas, and how to use them, units for power. Remember, there is something called the power factor. You will come across power factor. You have to define energy, the measurement of energy, the formula. You have to understand the series and parallel connections in circuits. It's something very important. You will be using it throughout. You have to know that there is what we call alternating current, and then we have the DC current power. So you have to understand about it also. Make sure you go through it. Resistors and capacitor. So these are very, very important. And we have Kirchhoff's law. Go through Kirchhoff's law. Kirchhoff's law will guide you on calculation of currents and voltages. We have the voltage dividers. You have to know their purposes. You understand everything to do with pull up and pull down resistors. Then we have voltage regulators that requires an output of very low voltage, and the output from your walls plug-in is very high. You might find an output of around 240 help it understand rectification, input and output safety measure for both AC and DC. You need to understand about varistors and fuses. You have to understand about X and Y rated capacitors. You have to go through AC and DC isolation, optocouplers, transformers, that is flyback transformers to be specific. You need to know converters, they are very important. You must understand how to select an IC when you're doing the power supply design. You should understand things to do with and then there is applications of those power supplies, and then the project design in KiCad. That's all you need when you want to design a power supply. And then in a course, if you go through all those things that I have listed, I think you will be a pro when it comes to design. Before I leave, I want you to understand this. For example, after your course, you must follow them. You have to understand what is a trace when it comes to PCB design. You have to go through traces. You have to understand it very well. Then again, we have pads and holes, we have wires, we have annular rings. HDI is a type of printed circuit board, or high density interconnect protocols. And the example of computers understand all the electronic concepts. You start from the theory to design automation, softwares. We have KiCad. For me, I like using KiCad, but we have OCAD, Cadence, and so many others like freezing, that you very important concept